another part of why we are where we are with this entire story is from the legal side of things. The state of Tennessee, and Jonathan Skrmetti, the district attorney for the state of Tennessee,
Attorney General,
sorry.
Yeah.
He was a part of and led the fight against the NCAA that in a lawsuit that allows Nico to do exactly what he's doing. And there are other lawsuits across, the legal side, and that from a business angle, players are going after the money, not just at the top end 5-star level, but players who are wanting to play college football for a 7th year. Right now, lawsuits being filed that could, totally crumble anything and will, quite frankly. Chad, to tie in your point about the culture and getting the right player, if you're going through the portal, aim at the players like Diego Pavia, who are committed to a program and specifically are there for the culture and the team and all of that. Go get yours, but also you want the makeup of the leader of that position that leads by example. And Nico can be that guy. I don't know the family dynamic here of the dad and the son, whatever. But it's not the same version of a quarterback that you want to lead a program once you pay that player and bring him in. He's not under contract per se that locks him into the commitment that you're looking for. And it's not going to be there if you have the wild, wild west of lawsuits where the NCAA is going to lose. The Supreme Court told us that.
Well, I think we've seen it time and time again, especially in college basketball. It's way better to invest in the guys out there that have that dog in them that have been overlooked, that have played at the lower level. Diego Pavia is a great example, at quarterback.
Yeah.
Right? They get somewhere that are grateful.
Who's suing?
They're not. Yeah, they're not entitled. But they get to a place like, man, I'm happy to be at this level, and I'm about to go ball out and prove that I belong at this level. And then when they do that, you reward them handsomely, which Vanderbilt has done.
Yep.
And now he's coming back. He filed for injunction. He won it. He's going to get that extra year of eligibility. He's won. Now you've got these 4 players in North Carolina that
Duke
are all suing for extra eligibility. Diego Pavia is suing for extra eligibility because he went to New Mexico Military Institute for 2 years, and he's not counting that. So
the JUCOs.
JUCO eligibility not counting is one thing to discuss. I got to be honest. I'm usually anti-NCAA and everything else. I don't know what pot these guys have to piss in that are suing to just play as long as they want in college football.
Here's their argument.
There's a dude that's wants a 7th year
that's what I said,
that never went to junior college.
And he's already exhausted the 5th. Yeah, I know. And so here's what they're arguing, and will argue in court if it gets there, that they're not going to play in the NFL, but they're being restricted from making money right now if they were eligible to then play, based on eligibility rules of how long they've been there to get their years in.
So
again,
I'm not a lawyer. We got one coming on soon in Clay. Maybe we'll ask him about this. But if we're now just suing to throw out, let's say hypothetically this is the thing that just ends all control of the NCAA, where they no longer have any say over eligibility length requirements, and you could play college ball as long as you want if a team wants you. So you've got 28, 29-year-olds out there playing that aren't quite good enough to play in the NFL, but doggone it, they're a great outside linebacker for Duke.
Yeah.
So they could stay there and get 4 degrees at Duke.
And they didn't have
play another 28 or 29.
And they weren't granted the injury eligibility. And so they made $100,000, and they claimed they could make up to $500,000 had the injuries played a factor in why they were granted an extra year of eligibility.
Yeah.
That's their argument. I don't buy it.
I don't buy it either, and you got to have some level of eligibility rules in time, because I'm going to play this out now. Okay, all these guys that aren't good enough to play in the NFL, but I'm good enough and I'm a good college player at Duke or North Carolina or NC State or New Mexico or Vanderbilt or Kentucky or anywhere, and I want to keep playing there. You can't restrict my right to make NIL money as an American citizen. I'm going to stay in college football. What about all the 18-year-olds that are now being restricted because they can't go play college football, because they can't start their clock? Because who's going to invest in an 18-year-old when I've got 26-year-olds that are ready to play and have played for me for 6 years already?
So It's a great point.
And that's the junior college argument, too. There's going to have to be high school seniors and incoming freshmen that start to sue the NCAA because you have these new rules where now these kids don't get opportunities because no one's going to invest in high school players anymore.
Well, but they're eligible for the opportunity on both sides. So that's what it's bizarre. I would argue in response to not Diego Pavia and the JUCO route. I'm saying in response to the players who have played 40 to 50 games over a career, who started at Rice and ends up at Duke in the transfer, whatever. Don't you have other avenues to play, quote unquote, professional football if you want to? Yes. It's not just college or the NFL. You can earn that. It's not, I mean, the NFL is going to pay top dollar compared to the UFL, but it's not the NFL's problem if you don't reach the standard based on the eligibility of what they're looking for, right? Here's the reality of it. If you sue, you win. The hearing is scheduled for April 22nd, I believe.
Right.
On this.
I don't know. It feels like if you sue, you get an injunction at least.
You're eligible
to continue playing.
Which is a win.
Yeah. I'm uncomfortable with this one.
I know, man.
Like the Diego Pavia argument, while I understand it, I'm also uncomfortable with wiping away any JUCO years ruling against you for your 4-year college also. But I'm willing to listen to that argument and see how it works out and see how it plays out with guys now that are going to be up into their mid to late 20s playing college ball. There's this unintended consequence. We talk about this in college sports all the time. If you just follow the money and make it all just about the business, then eventually those non-revenue producing sports will go away because it's all about business, all about the money. So now suddenly lacrosse players, rowers, volleyball players, they don't have opportunities out of high school to go get a college education for free because now we're all about the business, all about the money. If you're going to do this and make it JUCO players eligible, guys get 7 years, whatever, the unintended consequence is now a lot of high school seniors that otherwise would have gone to Duke or North Carolina or NC State or Wake Forest or wherever, they're going to have fewer and fewer opportunities. I don't think that's what people want either.
And what I think is going to be ultimately a small window of time, it feels very wide open and large now. The courts they're granting injunctions. Lawsuits mean victory for the plaintiff. The NCAA doesn't have the power. We're going to need federal legislation here. And then you form your eligibility requirements and those things within the guardrails. Right now, there are none because the NCAA has zero power.
Does anyone care at all about a degree anymore? Like, is there any value in that?
I mean,
like for people who are like, man, I just want to go get a free education from Duke.
I mean, I like the education.
Or North Carolina or wherever. Like, I'd like to go ahead and get my school paid for and get that clock started if I'm an 18-year-old going into college and I'm a great athlete and I've got a full ride opportunity. Does anyone look at that and say, boy, this is now my platform to get this degree so I can then get this graduate degree and become a sports agent or become a doctor or become some – we have completely lost the school in all of this. At some point along the way, did Nico have a major at Tennessee? Like, I never saw it reported.
He doesn't have to declare until junior year.
When was the last time we talked about academics, these schools? As my buddy Jake Mingledorf once argued about Tennessee becoming bad at football was because they had become too academic. Remember they were doing like SEC honor roll listings. And he's like, this is our problem. I remember sitting in Neyland Stadium. Our problem is we've become too academic as a football program, and that's why we're suffering. I think we need to get back to a little bit more academics where at least it matters somewhat if you're in class or you get a degree.
Yeah, no, we'll go to Newark instead. If Alabama basketball team for a week.
The next time
we'll stay in Newark.
Someone is academically ineligible will be the first time since 2022 that I've read a report about an athlete being academically ineligible in anything.
Well, then you could file a lawsuit and say that they're those
standardized tests.
Those guardrails are keeping them from being eligible.
Tests or
being
biased.
Eligible. Yeah.
You're shutting down my ability to make money off of these boosters at this school.
It is wild how the story progresses with Nico Iamaleava and NIL and the payments. I mean, what we just discussed is over $100,000 to $500,000. It starts with $4 million in the reports for for Nico and what he was looking for in the portal.